What's up, guys? David Powers here. It's Saturday morning. It's a gorgeous day here in Central Florida, and I am answering Benzo Withdrawal questions, part 2. So the first question is, what's the best way to taper? One of the most common questions I receive. Now, according to Dr. Ashton, and I'm in very much agreement with her, perhaps the best way to taper is to switch whatever benzo you're using to Valium. And that's because Valium stays in your body for a long time, up to 48 hours, in fact. Meaning you can take it in the morning, much like Klonopin, and it will last steadily pretty much throughout the entire day. Whereas a fast-acting benzo, like Xanax, pretty much has a 4-hour or less kind of therapeutic window. So you use Xanax for breakthrough anxiety, meaning you're going over a bridge, you got a presentation to give, something like that, and you feel this panic coming on. Pop a Xanax, quickly nullifies that. Problem is, 4 hours later, it sort of wears off. So switch over to Valium. Now, Valium is also good for another reason, and that's because it comes in multiple milligrams, 10 milligram, 5 milligram, 2 milligrams. And depending on where you are, it's probably best to get on 2 milligrams because you can break this in half. Now you got 2 pieces of 1 milligrams that you can then break down even further. And the idea is to get, a 1/10 of a milligram tapering off of Valium. Okay? So you have a 2 milligram, say you're on 10, you want to come down roughly 1 milligram a month. Right? That's a good goal. 1 milligram a month. Some people can do it more, 2 milligrams a month. Some people can only do half a milligram a month. 1 milligram a month is pretty good. So you take a 2 milligram tablet. You would take 5 2 milligram tablets to reach 10 milligrams, right? So what you would do is you take 4 immediately, and on that last 2 milligram tablet, you split it in half, take 1, and then take the other piece, the other 1 milligram tablet, and break that into maybe fifths. What I would do is I would break it in half, and then I would break the other half in half. You see what I'm saying? So it's a constant tapering. And then every day what I would do is I would shave a little less, or a little more, off that 1 milligram until eventually I wasn't taking it anymore. Then now I was down to 9, which was easy because then with 9, you just take 4 2 milligram tablets and half a 2 milligram tablet. So you get that extra 1 milligram, 9 milligrams. And that was the process that I followed all the way down, from a higher dose, 30, 40 milligrams, all the way down to none. So if you're on Xanax and you're trying to taper, you really ought to consider switching to Valium. Question 2, what's the best thing we can do for sleep? Unfortunately, there's not a lot you can do for sleep. Sleep is just one of these painful, unfortunate parts of benzo withdrawal. I think the best thing you can do for sleep is to have a routine, which sounds so obvious, but really, how many of us actually have a routine before bed? Particularly when you're going through benzo, which kind of annihilates all your routines. So by routine, I mean turning the phone off before bed for a few hours. Because the lighting on the phone, especially that bluer light, triggers parts of your brain that wants to keep you up, emulates daylight. So you want to turn all your lights into warm lights. You want to turn the lights down. You want to get like a warm bath. Jump in a hot tub if you have it. Soak, try to relax your body, distract your mind. I like a little bit of reading before bed, I find is amazing. Tires you out, makes you bored. Tea. Chamomile tea was great. I love taking chamomile tea. I'd like scents. I had a lot of lavender scents around my room. For some reason, lavender really calmed me, and so did cinnamon. I would do some stretching if possible. The worst thing you could do for sleep is probably put on anything that's too interesting on the TV, because it will keep you up. To play music that's, too energetic, rock and roll, stuff like that. Music can be great, but you want to play like atmospheric music. White noise helped me a lot. And that's something I use still today. In fact, a cabin of a jet or an airplane, I find this is amazing, which is funny because I hate to fly. That white noise, that cabin pressure sound is just great for sleep. And in fact, I use it when I'm writing and doing a lot of stuff. White noise has a great ability to camouflage our restless thoughts. Question 3, how do I get my doctor on board? Again, super common question, and a question that really shouldn't exist. I mean, we're talking about medical doctors. They should just already be on board. They should already be well aware of this problem. They're the one writing the prescriptions. I mean, the fact that you have to go up to them and tell them about this is baffling to me. And I'm not sure if it's just willful blindness or sheer inability to want to recognize the damage of some of the things they're doing. But at any rate, whether it's just calling your doctor out or actually educating them, that's what you have to do. Then so be it. Educate them, bring a book, bring some literature, show them, talk to them, let them know what you're going through, and explain to them that your symptoms are not all just anxiety, and it can't be all pre-existing. Because things like tinnitus, ringing in the ear, that's not really super common with anxiety. Metallic taste in the mouth, disassociation, depersonalization, all these things, they're not really, especially the metallic taste in the mouth, that's not an anxiety feature. In fact, when I was talking to a doctor and I was trying to explain to him these things, and it was, a year after I had come off benzo, and he was still trying to tell me that, basically it was just all pre-existing and had nothing to do with the benzo. I said, well, how do you explain the metallic taste? I mean, that's directly connected to benzo withdrawal. And at that point, he really had to take me more serious and had to start looking at it and go, okay, I can't explain that. Yeah, ringing in the ears, depersonalization, constant panic attacks, none of this stuff that I had prior. There definitely was a cause and effect here. You have to see that. And sometimes you have to be smart enough to go, well, let's talk neurochemistry. What happens to the brain? Oh, okay, well, yeah, sure. When you introduce these new chemicals, just like is the case with opiates, you get more opening, so to speak, in our nerves to allow those chemicals to come in. And, well, what happens when you take that chemical away? Well, those nerves don't do so well. They're still expecting all these chemicals that they're not getting anymore. Okay, so then we do acknowledge that there's a withdrawal effect. Okay, yeah, there is some withdrawal effect. Sometimes it feels like I'm walking these doctors back into logic, and that's where personally I really do feel like they just don't want to see it. And I know that sounds conspiratorial, and I'm not against psychiatry, but that's my opinion on it. So educate your doctors, talk, show them, and get them in a corner. Don't let them out. Show them what's going on with you, and get them on board as best you can. And if you can't, it's time to find another doctor. Question 4, is benzo giving me a heart problem? This one was something so close to me because I was such a hypochondriac anyway. I was the guy that was, every time I had like a palpitation, I would run to the computer to WebMD and have myself diagnosed with coronary disease or something. But of course, benzos aren't actually hurting your heart. Now, especially when you're coming off of them. Meds like SSRIs and benzo, they have a bad effect on your heart for cholesterol reasons and plaque and things like that. Go Google search what SSRIs do over a long, long period of time to your arteries and things, especially in the elderly population. It's a lesser known fact, and a lot of people don't want to talk about it, but it's definitely associated with increased heart problems. And I'm not trying to scare you. Absolutely not. Because coming off this and getting healthy is going to help reverse that, at least to a large degree. It also depends on how long you've been on it. I'm talking about people who have been on it for so many years. You're really risking damage, put it that way. But when you're coming off benzo, your heart's a little bit healthier in the sense that when you have a fight or flight trigger, which is pretty much all day, every day when you're coming off benzo, right? You're just fighting that panic attack. It's like a tidal wave or tsunami coming for you. Your body is actually trying to survive, meaning the fight or flight is designed by nature to get you out of the way of danger. It accelerates your reaction times. Your heart rate goes up. All these things happen, but they're there to help you. You're actually more healthy in a sense. So that's the first thing to know, that having these symptoms are not indication of a heart problem, and that most likely you don't have a heart problem. Unless you had a pre-existing heart problem, then of course that may be worth being concerned about. But for most of us, benzos are fine. And one problem I had with benzos was just the sheer fear of having a heart problem. I'd get some fluttering in the chest, that feeling in the chest like you just dropped down a hill in a car, like you were sinking in your chest. I had that fluttering, and I had sharp chest pains, and God forbid if I had a flutter and a chest pain, and then, if I was leaning on my arm or something and it was a little numb, then I was like, oh my God, it's a heart attack. My left arm's going numb. You can easily build yourself into a panic like that. And so what happened with me was, even when I would start to exercise while I was coming off benzo, and after I came off benzo, I was just afraid of ever getting my heart rate up. So for a long time, I would just do light stuff. I would walk to the point, lightly, slowly, and to the point where my heart rate got up too much and then I'd stop and rest. And I was getting exercise, and I was burning calories, and I was doing the good work, so to speak, But I was never getting my heart rate up where I could have got it, just for the fact that I was afraid that if I did, I was going to drop dead. And so what happened was I eventually started walking, and I would increase the cardio, I would increase the intensity just a little bit. And slowly I was desensitizing myself to the fear and also proving to myself that I was going to be okay. And now, of course, I can, run on a treadmill for a half hour, and I'm still here. I've never had a heart problem or anything like that. So it's really, for a lot of us, just fear. It's just mostly in our minds. But go slow. That way you can prove to yourself that you're okay, and you're just playing it safe. There's nothing wrong with going slow, walking slow, and building up your belief and trust in your own body. That's fine. And last question, what can I do about this fatigue? That's the golden question, right? I've battled so much fatigue. It was so hard to get out of bed. It was so hard to do the dishes, or, God forbid, mow the lawn. That wasn't happening. Driving to the store eventually became impossible because of panic attacks and the fear of having a car accident or something like that. Fatigue is one of these things that if you don't do anything about it, it just gets stronger and stronger, and it'll overtake you. And I think the best thing you can do is to just move more every day, even if it's just slightly more. That's how you get gains, as they say. That's how you get progress. Small steps daily. And that is the trick to benzo recovery. Small steps daily. Because I often talk to people about exercise, and I get a strong response. There's no way I could exercise. Are you crazy? Well, I'm talking small, tiny steps a day. Quite literally. Get a step counter. A lot of phone apps have them. You can buy external ones that you wear on your body, and just find out where you are in terms of your baseline. And it's probably really small, like 50 steps a day, 100 steps a day. The average person walks around 3,000 to 5,000 steps a day, to give you an idea there. So say you're at 100 on Monday, and that's about your base rate. Then try to make 120 steps, 150 steps on Tuesday. And you can set that for a week. You can say, for this next week, I'm just going to take 50 steps more each day. You build off that. Next week, do it again. 50 steps again. 50 steps again. Now you're at 250. Now you're at 300 steps a day. Now you're at 1,000 steps a day. This is how we combat fatigue. And this is the same formula of combating fatigue when you have just depression, when you're not coming off benzos. It's the same advice doctors give you when you're fighting depression. And a lot of this fatigue is actually depression. It's not just benzo withdrawal effect, symptomatic effect. It's actually depression, because you become very depressed when you're coming off benzo. And that bears worth repeating. You become depressed coming off benzo. So just count on that. Know that you're dealing with a level of depression, and it's not just anxiety. It's depression. The foggy headedness, the fatigue, irritability, problems with sleep, depersonalization, dreadful thoughts, negative affect. These are all depression symptoms. So again, the best thing you can do for fatigue is just to start moving more every day. I know it sounds almost too simple, or maybe it sounds too difficult. But remember, baby steps daily lead to giant leaps later. And that's a fact. Hey guys, thanks for listening. I'm trying to reach all your questions. I'm trying to give something back. Hopefully give you something that can help you heal and give you some hope. If you have questions, please leave them in the comments, or you can DM me. And we'll see. Yeah, if I get enough, maybe I'll do another video for you guys. All right, good luck. You will beat this. Trust in your biology. You will heal. Stay active. Have faith. Confide in love. Talk to you later.